What is up, my Andrew Knots? This video specifically is about licorice and how it impacts your testosterone, and this is specifically for those people that love licorice candy, licorice alcohol, licorice tobacco, licorice tinctures, licorice supplements, and so on. Whatever you do in your free time. This video is for those people to show you if your licorice addiction is having a negative impact on your hormones or not, because you might have heard before that some people say that you should be avoiding licorice if you want to maximize your testosterone. Before we get into the good stuff, be sure to get my ebook on how to double your testosterone in 2 weeks. And also, if you would like to work with me, links are in the description below. Let's dive in. First, I want to show you the evidence why some people think that licorice needs to be avoided. So there's 2 main studies showing this. Right, so this was the first study where they gave people 7 grams of a commercial preparation of licorice containing about 500 milligrams of this active ingredient in licorice that's been shown to give people hypertension if consumed in excess. And what happened is that by day 4, testosterone dropped by 35%, going from 740 to 414. This is a massive drop when consuming it. So this is, and then it kind of leveled off and then slowly actually started to increase again, right? So it would almost seem that in the short term, you have this massive drop in testosterone, and then maybe it can come slightly up, but then after 4 days after this continuation, testosterone is almost back to normal. So you might get a quick knock, and then when stopping, you will get this rapid recovery. So it's not like you're getting permanent damage or permanent backup in the system. And so this is another study showing that licorice on testosterone, and the way it works, it inhibits this 17-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, which is the enzyme that converts androstenedione to testosterone, and also 17-20-lyase, which converts 17-hydroxyprogesterone to androstenedione. So if we look at this graph again, you will see that hydroxyprogesterone increases because there's less conversion going to androstenedione. And there's less conversion going to testosterone. So androstenedione also increases by day 7. So all of these precursors are increasing as a result because it cannot convert into the next step. And in this study, they gave people 7 grams for 8 days, and it decreased total and free testosterone. And LH increased from 3.1 to 4. So LH increased a little bit. Testosterone took quite a knock. Not that much compared to the previous study, but it did take a knock. And then free testosterone also decreased a little bit. Now, I want to point out that this study was 7 days. This is the first study, 7 days. And then this study is 8 days long. So it's a relatively short-term studies. Let's look at the next study. Here they gave people 100 grams of licorice containing 150 milligrams of this active ingredient for 4 weeks, and then they had 4 weeks after stopping licorice. And then they looked at DHEA, androstenedione, testosterone, estradiol, progesterone, FSH, LH, sex-binding globulin, prolactin, and then they also looked at urinary hormones. So let's say the first 4 weeks after starting, DHEA went from 6.8 to 6, androstenedione went from 8.8 to 8.6, not a big difference. Testosterone went from 19.7 to 20.6, actually a slight increase. Serum estradiol didn't budge. Progesterone didn't really change. FSH went up slightly. LH went from, it didn't change. SSBG didn't really change. Prolactin also increased slightly, but it's really not a big deal. It's not like licorice actually increased prolactin and was like a problem. Then we look at some of the urinary hormones. This one, pregnenolone, didn't really change. Androsterone didn't change, and then this hormone also didn't change in the urine. So basically, my takeaway from this evidence, from this study, 4 weeks in duration, is that it didn't really have an effect on testosterone after 4 weeks. And then 4 weeks after stopping, no change. There was no change in testosterone or estradiol or some of the other hormones from using licorice for 4 weeks. Now, it could be because this was only 150 milligrams of the active ingredient compared to 500 milligrams compared to the other studies. But what it can also mean is that when you do something long term, like 4 weeks, you might get an initial dip and then it comes back up. As you could see in the first study, you will see testosterone went to 414 and then it went up to 480. So it could be possible that testosterone is coming back up. And this is why by week 4, you don't really see a difference, right? And then there was another study where licorice didn't lower salivary testosterone. Now, salivary testosterone is a marker of bioavailable testosterone. So how much testosterone you have available to bind to the androgen receptor. And their study showed that salivary testosterone didn't change. And then they did another study just to reconfirm if like what they saw was BS or not, and basically testosterone didn't decrease, but what you can see is that male salivary cortisol did increase. So it did increase cortisol because it inhibits the breakdown of cortisol into a weaker metabolite. So they got an increase in bioavailable cortisol, but bioavailable testosterone remained the same. So in summary, it's unlikely if you have a healthy licorice habit that it will have a negative effect on your testosterone. And actually, licorice might be a SERM, meaning that in some tissues, it acts as an agonist on some of the estrogen receptors, and then as an antagonist on other receptors, which means that it could actually start to increase LH, similar to another SERM that blocks the estrogen receptor in the pituitary. So it could act as a SERM. Then it could help to lower prolactin. So in Chinese medicine, they have this combination of peony with licorice, and this has been shown to unblock the dopamine receptor and also lower serotonin 1A and 2A induced prolactin release. So it's interesting that this study showed, This study showed that prolactin only slightly increased, but in general, there's many studies in Chinese medicine where they gave people with hyperprolactinemia this mix, and it dramatically lowers their elevated prolactin. So when you have elevated serotonin or blocked dopamine, this is when this mix can really help to normalize your prolactin levels. There's a few other brain benefits of this isolicoritinidin found in licorice root. So it acts as a monoamine A and B inhibitor with a twofold selectivity for B, which means that the monoamine oxidase B breaks down dopamine. So you'll have two times as much dopamine breakdown inhibition compared to serotonin, putting you more in a dopaminergic state. It also has GABA A-B agonist activity, so it can help make you feel calm, give you that body relaxation. It's a dopamine D1 antagonist and also a dopamine D3 agonist, and it's an NMDA antagonist, so it can help against that anxiety, wiry, glutamate neurotoxicity effect. Alright, so if you do like licorice, by all means continue consuming licorice. It's very likely that in the long term, in the short term, you might get a short drop and then it goes back up, especially if you consume licorice on a daily basis. But if you have it once in a while, it's really not going to negatively affect your hormones, so don't worry about it. Plus, licorice has a bunch of other benefits, especially that one compound, that isolate, that can help to increase dopamine levels, act on the GABA receptor, and so on. So I will link that supplement for you guys in the description if you want to try that one out. Alright, so I hope this video was insightful. Please let me know your experience with licorice if you actually have done blood tests. Let me know what the effect of licorice was on your testosterone, free testosterone, prolactin, and so on, so I can learn more about this from actual anecdotes from people like my testimone bros. Alright guys, hope you learned something new, and I will check you in the next one. Cheers guys.